So this was our first continual assessment stroke test for the audio middleware module of the course. So what we had to do was this here: using your skills as an interactive audio designer, prepare a bank of sounds that are suitable for use in the creation of a dynamic ambient environment. The game genre is steampunk, so a la Borderlands 2, Machinarium. Anyway, we can go. Obviously, I messed up the pronunciation of that. Or Bioshock Infinite. The prototype is to represent an area within the game where the player is being held captive and must escape. Use your collected sound to build an environment in Fmod. A prototype level will often contain reference sounds, temporary sounds, as well as original sounds. You are also free to do the same. You must clearly cite the original source of any material in the properties pane of each sound. And it was basically to collect them all, and it's actually a test that we did live on or in class, be it virtual class at the moment over Zoom. So we had an hour and 45 minutes then to actually implement it in Fmod, while you had, I think, definitely a week or maybe 2 weeks, I can't remember, to actually assemble all the sounds. I chose to make all the sounds myself, record all the sounds. I didn't want to use any libraries or anything like that, so everything that I put in there I made myself. Went out like a man on a mission with my little Zoom H2 recorder, and I was all over the place recording all sorts of stuff. Very quickly, the problem I realised with this is it's very hard to design sound for a game that doesn't exist, or when you don't have an image, or you just don't have any visual reference of what's going on. So I ended up having to kind of compile, one, a map so I could visualize what was happening, two, a sense of thing, get some inspirational stuff. Like, so I got some shots of warehouses, which I thought would be kind of what I was into, just to kind of set the vibe for what I was looking for. So somewhere like warehouse, all abandoned, metallic, stairwells, closed off. There's light coming through that photo. I wanted it to be at night, so pretty dark, stormy outside, like stuff going on. So what I did was that's another nice one there. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Like that a lot. What I did was I had to really design a map and lay it all out. So let's see. I designed this, the overall thing is just one giant warehouse, and you start in area 1, and I wanted the floors to be wooden in there, just a smaller room. In my head I imagined like 6 meters by 6 meters. There'd be another area that you'd break out into, like metal floors. That'd be more the open space warehouse. And then I decided to have another little area 3 out here, which was just an outdoors environment, just to practice again, going from one ambience to another ambience, inside to outside, and different surface again. I'd have gravel out here, so I was going to have to change the footsteps from wood to metal to gravel, back again, work out how that was going to go. Smaller room, kind of imagine that with concrete walls. So smaller ambience and a bigger then massive warehouse ambience, like big, huge, long reverb. Big hollow sort of echoey metal sound. And then all along I wanted the sound of the wind and the storm and the creaky old building kind of just rattling away in the background. So this was area 1. And I decided that area 1 was going to have a door that you needed to get out, like a big metal old door like this guy here. But you couldn't just walk over and get out the door. You had to pull a lever that was on the wall, but that lever wouldn't work unless you started up this generator over here. So I had a few sounds that I needed to kind of conjure up. I wanted a generator. I wanted the sound of a lever being pulled. And I wanted the sound of these big old metal doors kind of creaking open, but with like that steampunk thing. So steam and all that sort of buzz going on. I just imagined these old kind of try and staying in the genre, like, sort of electric lights, and I'd want to have a sound off them. I'll have buzzing coming off them when you go close to them. They'd be glitchy as well. A clock on the wall, just because really, kind of creates a sense of time and urgency that you need to move on if there's a clock ticking in the room. Yeah, so I kind of needed to come up with a few ways to make all of that happen in area 1. So when you got out of there into area 2, then you'd come out of these doors. You were into the bigger space then at this point. If you'd come out of the doors, so you've escaped from area 1, which was here. So now you're onto a metal floor, and you obviously have bigger ambience, bigger environment out here. Just in my head, just helped visuals that like there'd be walkways between like drop-offs, kind of like this multi-level thing, but you're only staying on the one level. More lights that you could walk over that would buzz as you got close. So I was going to have to create distance parameters and roll-offs for these. And eventually you'd walk all the way around this level, get around to another metal door, just a standard one that you could open, so it'd make a separate sound of a metal door just opening and closing. And eventually you'd get around here and have to confront this monster who is kind of blocking your way to the exit. I toyed with doing lots of different weapon things and creating fights and everything, but in the end, just to make my life easier, not to overcomplicate it, I just decided that the easiest thing to do would be turn it into a chase. You go in, say, hello monster, oh dear, and run away and try and get him to chase you around the level and sort of lose him somewhere here, maybe go out, hide, and then run back and you have to get back. So it just meant I didn't have to create weapons and battle sounds and all sorts of things like that. Yeah, there was one more level out here, just out the door. That would be area 3. And there was nothing going on out here. I just wanted to, I don't know why, make an outside area, like a barbed wire sort of, not courtyard, but gravel compound. So it was just to have fun with making footsteps and have an outside environment where you could then roll off any filters so you could fully hear the outside ambience of the wind blowing and just wood fences knocking and stuff like that. And then it helped that in my own head I said, oh, you could come out here and sneak and get by the monster or something like that. Kind of come up with just a few images to help me along, like just randomly Googled up steampunk monsters. This guy came up, so I worked with that. And that was really it. So that's kind of what got me going overall. And that being my game plan, that I knew I was going to have to get out a door. There was another door here you could go in. There was a few objects in here that I could make sound for. And the sound was going to evolve from a smaller room to a bigger space to an outdoors. And eventually you'd get round past here. And yeah, that was the game plan. So let's see how we did that. So just to give you an idea of some of the sources that I recorded, it's a disco ball that has a little mechanical thing that kind of became the bass ambience for the warehouse, weirdly enough. Metal scrapes, toilet roll holder, scraped on the tiles, sounded cool. The fan, an extractor fan from my kitchen. The world's creakiest door at the bottom of my stairs. So glad I didn't WD-40 it now. I'd have no ambience from my warehouse. My kettle, there's kind of a bit of hisses and gurgles as well from that. Oh, kid's toy. Cool engine sounds. Another kid's toy. Good fun. A generator just up the road from me that some guys were using. And out recording waterfalls and rivers and stuff and blending it all together. There's loads more stuff like irons and all sorts of things recorded, hitting the oil heater behind me here in the studio as well, just tapping away on that. All sorts of stuff. But anyway, that's kind of some of the sources. So all the sounds that I kind of worked on and recorded in Pro Tools, I imported them into the session and put them in folders and kind of color coded them. And then just put a note on each one, like what it was. Like this sound was a recording of the knob on my tumble dryer. Creaking Doors, like all this sort of stuff. Just from my own head, I kind of went through it. I did noise reduction in the Isotope RX8 just to clean them all up as well, because it's a house. I was recording with the Zoom recorder. There was tons of noise and horrible room sound on it. So I went in and noise reduced them all with that. Basically color coded them all and put them into folders. So the background noises, character sounds, breathing, just me breathing. It's not fabric sounds. It's actually me just like literally sitting here with this microphone, holding it up and rustling my top into it and all sorts of stuff. Little key jingles door openings. Oh yeah, I went out to... That's cool sound. That is literally one of those metal clothes banks that you go to. Slightly pitched a little bit. That, believe it or not, is that creaky door that I in my hallway that I showed you a picture of a few minutes ago. Again, just pitched and filtered a little bit. There you go. That's the little toy. Another metal container closed. That's the clothes bank. This is my iron. There's literally the steam on our iron in the house. So again, just sorting them all out into where they were going to go. Monster sounds. They were fun. Yeah, they were a lot of fun. So what the monster sounds were, didn't have any live monsters to record, funny enough. But I came close. I had my little 9-year-old nephew who came over, and we recorded him just goofing around into the microphone. Where is he? This is in Pro Tools now.
Hello, how are you?
So it's him just speaking and pretending to be a monster. Like I've compressed it and done a few things to it, but in essence, the real thing is just this dehumanizer plug-in. And as you can imagine, he's a 9-year-old boy. He really enjoyed turning into a monster. So, stuff like that. Let's go back to F mod. The respawn at a 4 kilohertz tone. Hope this is not too loud. Sorry about that. Which was fine. It was just a straight 4 kilohertz tone generated in Pro Tools. But it was pretty boring straight, so I actually modulated it a little bit, just in a little bit in the amplitude range and a bit in the frequency modulation as well. Nothing much, just enough to give it a little bit of play, kind of made it a bit more fun. What else did I have? I had a sound I made up myself, Granular Synth. It was actually from a sound design tutorial that we were doing. It was that little ping sound that was horrible. But basically, I took it in and I automated a load of parameters here, the tune, the speed, the form and pitching as well. So it was just kind of granular synthesis done through that. And I also automated the cutoff and the feedback on delays as well. And I just kind of messed around with all of them on the fly. Let me see where it is. And they were just kind of modulated around the place to do crazy stuff. So that's low creepy sound. So that was kind of just thrown in for one of the areas as well. Again, I color code all my sounds in Pro Tools as well. So when I jump across to F mod, that it all starts to kind of line up colors wise as well, because that just, it becomes a minefield, and these are only small projects. Where were we? So that's all the audio events we're in, and then Claire asked us to start tagging stuff as well. So in the events, I kind of broke the events down into the different areas. So for area 1, an ambience, I made up, used a scatterer. Where's my DAC? I really like being able to just get rid of that preview and the deck and even the browser with just clicks. BDP, boom. And you get your screen back. Yeah, we'll need the deck for this. So yeah, just a few different scatterers. For little clicks and pops. So I put loads of clicks in the scatter, as you can see there. So just throw a range in of them. Just changed it so that the spawn time and interval is between 3.5 and the distances that it'd be out as well. So it's pretty distance. Have some reverb on that. That's a long reverb. There's a mixer, yeah. So I set up 2 reverbs. One was just a standard reverb, it's pretty long, like over 4 seconds, and that was kind of the big warehouse sound. And then the other one was a convolution reverb that I got in. That's kind of like, it's called a Silo Revisited, which I actually brought into the assets myself. So I brought that in. It's one I downloaded. Just kind of had that stone metallic character that I just thought worked for the small room as well. So I made all the ambiences for each area separately. Area 1, Area 2, Area 3. They're all slightly different. So that's the outdoors. You can actually hear the wind. Go into 2. Again, the windy atmosphere is rolled off, but there's also now this new low drone in there as well. But the probability for that playing is only down to, the chance, is down to 60% playing. So, because this is going to loop around for a while if the player's wandering around the bigger area. So you don't want to go in every time the loop becomes really obvious. So it was set on a chance of 60%. In the bigger area, I was using the long reverb, while in the smaller area, I was using a smaller reverb for things. The clock, just the clock, but the distance parameter was set up to also affect the frequency cutoff of the tone as well. So you can see the frequency goes down as well with that, as well as just the actual volume, just to try and make it a bit more realistic. So I built up the door release sounds. This is the sound of the door open. I think that's that's the Duke, the little kid's toy. This is me at a petrol pump. It's me filling diesel in the van. Then this is my iron. And then the clunks off the clothes bank. I don't know, what's that one? That one might be actually me hitting the heater in the background, I think. That's the clothes bank, yeah. So it's all of these combined, faded in at different times to come through. So that's... That's the mechanism, basically, of where you've figured out how to actually open the door, in my imagination. Now, I have a parameter here called generator on off. And that is basically because I kind of set up this whole idea that in the first room, you had to turn on a generator, which would actually power up the lever, which would open the door. So if you didn't have the generator turned on, the parameter, it was a discrete parameter. So that meant it was either on or off. Like, it jumps in whole increments. I had it just set from 0 to 1. So it's discrete 0 to 1. So there was no in-betweens like 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.3. Just 0, on or off. Real simple. So when it was off, all the volume in these were down. And when it was on, all the volume was set to the appropriate volume for each one. So that just meant I could then, when I'm doing the door release, I had 2 options. So if your generator was off, set to 0, it gave you this fault noise, which meant that's not working, buddy. You're not getting out. I think everyone knows that sound. Not today. Whereas if you turned the generator on and you'd already done that and that was running, you'd now get your door opening sound. So that was just a little bit of way of nesting that the sounds of the door opening, nesting it into a more functional thing where you could decide how that ended. Generator, I kind of did the same with the generator. Got the noises here. That's that little portable generator that I put a picture up of. And I've actually affected its pitch as it's starting up. I've faded it in and then rose the pitch up slightly so that you kind of get that slow starting up effect. And I put some more steam in. Put 2 of them in just because it felt right, like the engine was trying to get going, you know. Oh yeah, shift. So that... And then, because it's a generator, it's not just a thing that stops. I set up a loop section so that it would continue to loop around in here until you leave the room. That was all affected by the distance parameter. And weirdly, I had this thing where the send to the reverb wasn't affected by the distance parameter, which I don't know whether that's an oversight or what the story with that is, but when you would increase the distance, the sound of each of these would come down, but the reverb sound would stay constant, so you'd still hear the reverb in the background, which was weird. So it kind of had the send level to the reverbs acting like a pre-fader send, even when it is a post-fader send. So I thought that was a little bit unusual. So what I did was I just automated it with the parameter that the volume of those sends dropped off when I got to the max distance that I had set for that object, the generator. So yeah. And it's gone. And I kind of set the distance, I think I set the distance to about 6 meters because I pictured that as the size of the room. So if you're more than 6 meters away from the generator, you're not in the room anymore. You're not going to hear it. It's the generator. That was the noises. But again, it's only going to be there when it's turned on. So if it's off, it don't play. And if it's on, it will play. On, off. Just simple trigger. And that same parameter then would let you open the door or not open the door. So it was kind of doing two different functions. Let's see. Lights. I put up that image actually of those old buzzing lights. See if they're there again. They were kind of cool. I just really needed a visual image to kind of get my head around and work off. And you'll see here, like I had a ton of different levers and buttons and stuff. That's the one I went with in the end. And there's the lights. So just kind of pictured this buzzing. The other one I was thinking about was that one, but either one was pretty good. So it would be... I had the electric sound, just that, and I put in a 60 hertz hum there as well, because it kind of just felt without that hum, it was a little weird. That just didn't say light to me. Something glitchy. But then when I added this, it's kind of, you get the electrical vibe. And steampunk, like transistors and valves and stuff like that, you know. So I thought that added it in. And I used this little stutter effect to create that, the glitchy sound as well. So I just popped the stutter on and off really quick and just basically tapping it really quick, and that made it. Ooh, so that was area 1. Ambience in area 2, lights in area 2, same thing, just different amounts of reverb, say, applied to the lights. Is now the long one instead of the lights in number 1 was the short one. Just little subtle changes so that it kind of goes with the visual I had in mind. Area 3 was the outdoors, and this is where I was introducing just a standard metal door sound. Because you were going to have to go from one area to another. So out of room 1, that's the mechanical doors, standard metal door to get out to level 3 or to area 3, and then a metal door to kind of get through to this guy. So I just included a metal door sound that presumably could be referenced and triggered within the game engine. Character sounds, breathing. 2 different ones, fast and slow. Just kind of pictured you'd need both. So I just put a parameter on there, player movement speed, and basically automated a crossfade between the two. So as you move faster, you get faster breaths. You slow down, you get your slower breaths. Really simple stuff. This was fun. So this was all of the footsteps that I created. I just got a load of single footsteps. I recorded them in my hallway. That's me in my really stylish Crocs walking on my wooden floor. Let's hear that one. And again, just a multi-instrument, just going through them. Did a bit of modulation, randomised the pitch and randomised the volume on each of these footsteps. So that's the wood ones. But again, we've 3 areas: wooden, metal, and gravel outside the different areas. So again, I just created a parameter called area, discrete again. So it's just either 0, 1, or 2. And so the automation was really simple. It's a looping event. If you're in area 1, you were getting the wood steps. Flick it up to 2. You're getting your metal steps. Banging onto 3. You got gravel steps. And the other things stayed consistent, which were, that was just a fabric rubbing as you're walking. And I just added in little metal jingles. Just imagine the character would have something on them jingling. I always do, so be weird if it was just footsteps. Anyway, so yeah, you can just hop between each one. Easily assigned parameter in the game engine, I presume. And then I just did a few vocal grunts. I don't know, I just kind of pictured that you'd be walking into walls and running away, and I don't know how you'd actually implement these in the game, but they're there. And it's not a looping thing, it's just one hits, multi-instrument, chance, pitch modulation, volume modulation as well, randomized. The music I literally did in the last 5 minutes, I'd say it was probably about 10 minutes before the end, and I actually kind of regret doing it. I wish I didn't. It's a bit crap. But anyway, yeah, it was an afterthought. It was a brain fart. I wish I didn't do it, but I did. And again, it was created by this parameter state, which was 0, which I figured is passive. You haven't encountered the monster. You just meet the monster. You gotta fight him. And it would just loop within this region. And then it just set up the next state as you've gotten away from him, defeated him, and you've exited. So that it'll just jump on transition. And levels over. Yeah, again, that's a bit. I wasn't really happy with that one. All the environments are set up through one master environment. So all these different ambiences, area 1, 2, 3, are set up here with the parameter area again. Use the same parameter. Oh yeah, the spawn sound. Sorry, I had that. So basically, I had an image of the character waking up, kind of in the dark, hazy, coming out, trying to figure out where he was going on. So I figured the level would start with this sound. And yeah, then by area, it goes straight into your first area 1 ambience, which is this one. If you change the area, this region, move to region, references this area here, but I made it jump in at a crossfade point between the two, and then you've got the loop region set up. Again, these are conditional so that they are affected by the area parameter as well. You can see it down here. So if you flick it on to the next one, now you're outside in 3. And you flick it back, you're back inside, and hopefully a crossfade's all pretty good. I kind of figured anyway that the sound of the metal door in the game would be triggered as you're going from one to the other, because you can't get from one area to another without actually opening a metal door. So there'd be also the metal door sounds over the crossfades. And then I was thinking, I need another move to region to go back to here, but because of the physics of the map, you can't go from area 3 to area 1. It's not physically possible, so you kind of have to transition through 2 both on all of them. So that was that. The monster just set up a multi-instrument for these low sort of roars. And again, it was just affected by distance. So as you got within, well, let's see what I set up the distance. If you got within 20 meters of the monster, even though you haven't gone into the room yet, you're going to start hearing his presence, just being creepy and growling away. And I think he laughs at one point as well, which is really creepy. Or is it this one? Yeah, that's one. So when you hear that, you know, I'm in trouble, something bad's about to happen. And again, the sends to the reverb, I just rolled them off in line with the distance parameter, so it didn't sound weird. And then I just put in a one-shot monster roar for when you actually do come around the corner and see the monster for the first time. That's the proverbial poo's going to hit the fan here. And that's everything in the session, really. That took a long time to explain. Took me ages to gather up the sounds. And I did practice putting it all together in the week leading up to the... but actually this one that we're looking at that I did submit on the day is a little bit different than the ones that I was doing all along. And I messed up a few things, and I randomly added in battle music and left out a few notes here and there. But sure, I think it was pretty, really, really fun project. And so that was our CA1. Hope you enjoyed it.